Hello, I'm Tony, and today we are trying to escape a puzzle-filled jungle in Faraway 2 Jungle Escape. Free from Prime Gaming until the end of January 2023. It's not exactly a jungle because there's way too many buildings and clues left around the place to qualify, but apparently we don't want to be here. And to leave, we need to solve a bunch of puzzles, some logic based and some just more moving stuff. This all takes place in a very simple 3D open-ish world that you get to explore. It's simple in the sense that none of the objects in the world have textures, so it looks pretty basic. Though it does have a certain charm, and it runs really well on low-end PCs. It also makes it easy to spot interactable objects, which is obviously key in a game that litters subtle clues to its puzzles all the way through the world. It might have been nice to up the detail a little bit, but it's a puzzle game and I don't think it really matters too much. The puzzles are the main focus and they're a strong suit. I will do a quick shout out to the music before we get into the gameplay. It's an atmospheric piece that gives a pretty calm vibe to the experience in an understated way. You're not going to want to buy the soundtrack to the game, but it's a nice accompaniment. Gameplay wise, it's pretty much what I expect from these type of games now. There's some logic puzzles you need to solve in order to get objects to open more doors. There's pattern based puzzles as well, with environmental clues placed in the world that give you the solution. Some of them are pretty subtle and are not necessarily nearby. You have switches that need to be clicked and dragged around, wheels that need to be turned in a circle. Standard sort of 3D escape room stuff. You got an inventory to pick up the things that you unlock via puzzles, and right clicking gives you a menu where you can select them and then you just click on the object you wish to use it on. It's more generous than other games that I've played. It's not the exact pinpoint accuracy you need to be able to apply an object in inventory to an object in the world. You have to be pretty close, but not exact. You are free to wander around the world as you like, kind of, because there's a lot of area that's just there for aesthetic reasons, not that you can actually go there. There's also the obligatory story notes that are hidden around the 20 levels the game comprises, which, if you bother to find all 3 of them per level, build up into some kind of narrative. Though, to be honest, none of the notes I found were engaging enough for me to want to search for the rest of them. But we have to have collectibles in games like this, don't we? Apparently. I guess it's to make people want to replay levels until they find everything. Maybe because it's like a 5 to 6 hour game, the developers felt that it was necessary to add a bit more, to bulk out the time for those that like to 100% a game, but 5 to 6 hours for a puzzle game is fine with me, and I'm not bothering to collect all the hidden ones. I think that's mostly it about the mechanics, without talking about how it played, which I'll do now. For the most part, this was a fun 5 hours of gaming for me. It was only marred by a couple of instances where a bit more polish, a bit more time maybe, would have possibly fixed it. A plus point for Faraway 2 is the difficulty level. It's pitched pretty well, pretty low-ish. I got through the majority of the puzzles without any help, most of the time without too much time wasted. I did check a handful of solutions from a walkthrough because I wanted to complete the game for the review rather than personal interest. And most of the time it was just something dumb that I missed. A couple of times it was more of an issue with the game interface though. Sometimes the object interaction doesn't quite work, and I assumed that what I was trying to do was wrong and went down a couple of dead ends just because the mechanics of the game didn't actually take the solution. A very specific example of the game getting in its own way is on one of the later levels you control a boat, and I use the term control pretty loosely because it's unnecessarily clunky to use, where you want to turn the boat and it's just so fiddly to get it done, and the game doesn't explain in any way how you use it. I'm sure a different solution could have been put in. It's a shame that it didn't quite work instinctively, because it was quite a nice little introduction to the game. And if it had been implemented better, it wouldn't have caused any frustration. I did encounter a bug, which is to do with how you climb stuff. There's a level where you line blocks up to gain access to a ladder that you can't reach because it's raised off the ground. And you need to click the blocks to climb up them, which is a little against the expectations the game has set up until this point, because only ladders have been clickable to climb. But it's obvious you need to climb up them. But I tried to click in on a ladder and I couldn't get down, and I ended up having to restart the level. None of the levels are big enough that once you've found a solution it takes you that long to redo. But it's obviously not ideal. Other than that, the game ran fine. A fair number of the puzzles were really satisfying to solve. The dragon snake ones come to mind here, and any time I stuck, the answers were normally somewhere in the world. It also wasn't uncommon to need to unlock another building to find the solution to an earlier puzzle. So there's a little bit of backtracking, but it's never egregious, it's always within reason. Escape room puzzle fans should give this one a try. Just don't expect to be tested too much. This is a chill experience where progress can be really rapid sometimes. It's just a relaxingly mild test of your skills. And there was enough new ideas introduced across the levels to stop some of the repetition of the puzzle elements becoming a problem. For puzzle game fans, this is a mild recommend from me, I'd say, particularly as it's a free game at the moment. Well, that's all from me, so thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.